Well, thank you, everybody, for tuning in for today's press call. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about efforts that I'm undertaking to investigate what appears to be a slowdown of mail delivery across the system. Very pleased to have Congresswoman Lawrence joining me as well, and other panelists, which I'll introduce as we go through the order here. Let me just say, I've been hearing complaints from folks all across Michigan, particularly over the last few weeks, about mail delivery that is not coming through the way people have become accustomed to. They have definitely seen a slowdown, oftentimes adding several days before they get mail that they are expecting. This is having a significant impact on people, as we will hear from Michelle and others later. Folks who rely on on-time delivery for vital medicines. They have to get medicines in order to keep up with their prescriptions. We're hearing from the VA in particular, where folks are not getting the prescriptions that they need. But when we think about the Postal Service and how important it is to everyday life, not just prescription medicines, but getting paychecks, Social Security checks, to get bills on time, this is of critical importance, and we need a Postal Service that can continue to deliver the type of service that they have delivered in the past. And yet, when we look at the slowdown, it also correlates with a new Trump appointee as the Postmaster General. A Postmaster General who didn't have any background in the Postal Service, which is traditional of Postmaster Generals who have expertise in the business. He doesn't have that. And a number of policies have been instituted, which we're going to talk about, that are slowing down delivery. The reductions in overtime, reductions in extra trips by transportation trucks to make sure that mail isn't sitting in the post office. Processing machines that are being taken out. There are a whole host of things that are happening, and we need to have answers. And that's why I've instituted an investigation. I'm the ranking member on Homeland Security and Government Affairs. We are the top oversight committee overseeing the U.S. Postal Service. It's in my jurisdiction, and we need to find answers. I've made repeated requests from the Postmaster General to answer those questions. The responses we have gotten back are not sufficient and certainly don't talk about what sort of research may have gone into the instituting of these processes. What kind of evidence or what kind of data was actually collected to determine whether or not these policy changes would actually help mail delivery? And if it's not helping mail delivery, and if it's slowing down delivery, how will the Postal Service react to make sure that mail gets there on time? I would encourage folks, as we are moving forward with this investigation, to contact my office. I've set up a website, which is at www.peters.senate/postal. Folks can go to that website. We want to hear stories. I've now heard hundreds of stories all across this state, which has brought this to our attention, and why we have to make sure that these new procedures being put in place are not slowing down mail delivery. Mail delivery is too important for every American, particularly those folks in our rural areas that count on mail, and small businesses that are moving online and need to have postal services to carry their business forward. So joining me in this investigation is Congresswoman Brenda Lawrence, who, as I mentioned, is on the Oversight Committee in Congress. I'm particularly pleased to join her because she is the only member of Congress who's actually spent a career in the Postal Service. She comes with a unique expertise to this job. She is concerned. We toured today the Pontiac Metroplex. We're going to do other investigations locally as well. And together we want to get to the bottom of this, because bottom line, folks here in Michigan deserve to have a Postal Service that delivers the mail as quickly as possible to them, and we're not going to accept anything less than that. Congresswoman Lawrence, thank you for being on the call.
Thank you so much, Senator Peters. Ladies and gentlemen, the United States Postal Service, which is where I was introduced to public service, takes seriously the responsibility, as Senator Peters had stated, to serve. We are that industry provides a service to all Americans. It's not partisan. And this is now, with the pandemic, and they were positioned as essential workers, because during the pandemic, the mail continued to be delivered. We unfortunately have a new Postmaster General who has come in with the President of the United States daily saying how he does not want vote by mail. And unfortunately, who has made it part of his platform to attack the Postal Service. Today, I joined my Senator Gary Peters as we looked at a processing plant and to hear the concerns from our union representatives, as well listening to the managers. A couple things I want to be very clear about is that our democracy is being held in the hands of the Postal Service. We, in Congress and in Senate, has a responsibility to protect that democracy. And that's why I was so happy to join my Senator Gary Peters in this objective of looking at the Postal Service, ensuring that our democracy is protected through the mail system. Because of COVID, we don't have a choice. We must vote by mail, and that is not going to be a deterrent for our constitutional right and our civic responsibility of voting. Two things. We will continue this investigation by visiting some of the delivery sites, post offices, and delivery stations throughout the state of Michigan. In addition to that, what changes are being made in the logistical chain of moving the mail? We know that the air carrier contracts that we have that transport our mail by air has been impacted because of COVID. And so now there's more trucks on the ground. We have to make sure they work. We must work with our clerks around the state and around the country to ensure that we have timely delivery in November of the mail. Now understand, we have had different time frames and sporadic dates for primaries. Come November, the entire country will be voting at the same time. And we cannot afford, oh, that didn't work. This must work, and holding the accountability of the Postal Service, of this new Postmaster General, our president. This is not a partisan issue. This is about our constitutional established Postal Service living up to its delivery standards and providing the tools for our democracy. I look forward to answering any questions that you have. I've joined with an oversight. That's the committee I work on in Congress, and I have the oversight of the Postal Service. And so on the congressional side, I have joined letters with my chairman, Maloney, and with other members, including Gary Peters in the Senate, and we are joined together and working together on this issue. And we've even had Republicans push back on some of these changes in the middle of a pandemic and in the middle of us providing the services that are needed to protect our elections. And I'll look forward to hearing any questions you have. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Congresswoman Lawrence. Thank you for your leadership on this as well. And you're right, we're doing this in a bicameral way, bringing people together in a bipartisan way as much as possible, because having a quick and efficient delivery of mail is absolutely essential for our economy. I want to certainly say that the men and women who work in the Postal Service day in and day out are committed professionals who want to move the mail as quickly as possible. And they understand that that is a core mission for them. And we have two individuals that are going to talk about that and also talk about concerns that they have about policies that have been put in place recently that is actually slowing down the delivery of the mail. The first is Roscoe Woods, who is president of the American Postal Workers Union Local 480, 481. He joined the Congresswoman and I today in our tour in Pontiac. Roscoe, please give us your thoughts about what you're seeing and the concerns that you have.
Thanks, Senator. First of all, I want to thank both Senator Peters and Representative Lawrence for coming out to the facility. Certainly means a lot to this local president and our membership. Kind of some background, up until recently, the Michigan Metroplex was the largest mail processing facility in the country at over 1 million square feet, over 800,000 square feet of workspace. all things being equal, when we're up and running, we can push millions of pieces of mail through that facility an hour. And we take a tremendous amount of pride in being able to do that. I mean, as a postal worker for over 30 years, it becomes part of your DNA. It's all we do. It's been told that the only thing we produce is noise and dust. And that noise is the mail moving through those machines out to the dock and out to our customers. And again, we take a tremendous amount of pride getting that done in a timely manner. Where we're concerned is with Postmaster General DeJoy coming on board, we've started to see some policies in place in an effort to kind of control overtime, which have directly resulted in the mail being delayed. After Senator Peters and Representative Lawrence announced their visit to the plant, it seemed there was no limit on the amount of overtime that our folks were allowed to work in the last 4 to 5 days. They spent the better part of this weekend working, that they were offered their non-scheduled days all weekend, up to 12 hours. So certainly the management at the Metroplex has proven that when we want to get it done, we can get it done. And and I believe we can get it done every single day if the facility is properly managed and the policies are put in place that are designed to ensure we complete our mission every single day. We can deliver on time. We've been doing it for centuries. As I was kind of considering my remarks, I've noticed that we've delivered the mail through wars, through tornadoes, through hurricanes, and now saved the early part of the 1900s through our second pandemic. I basically want to remind the United States the Postmaster General that it's not the United States Postal Business, it's the United States Postal Service, and that's what we do. We provide service to every single address in this country universally, and we can continue to do so. We can do it better than we do it now. We already have a very good customer rating. Customers trust us, and I think it's a shame that we seem to be positioned to fail. I think the senator and representative both hit on it. Medications, ballots, birthday cards, all those things that people count on seeing in their mailbox every single day. We can do it. We have done it in the past, and we can continue to do it in the future. There just needs to be policies and procedures in place that allow it to happen.
Thank you, Roscoe. And you're right. I think it's an important thing to remind everybody. It's only the Postal Service that delivers to every single address in our country, regardless of where it is. And the other statistic that I think is striking, that half of all of the mail in the world is actually delivered by the U.S. Postal Service. It's a massive amount of mail to every single address. And you need to have policies in place that allow you, the men and women of the Postal Service, to do your job day in and day out with the dedication that we've seen, as you mentioned, for over 200 plus years, 240 plus years. So thank you for joining us today, and thank you for your comments. I next have Carl Blassingame, who is president of the Michigan State Association of Letter Carriers, who has also seen changes in policies that has him concerned as well as his members. Carl, thank you for being on the call with us here today.
Yeah, I want to thank you, Senator Peters, for your hard work and the things you've done in going into investigating this. And also I want to thank Congresswoman Brenda Lawrence, who I've been knowing for years, worked with her, and she is a champion for the Postal Service and letter carriers. So I want to thank both of you for taking this head on. As I talk to some of my fellow brothers and sister letter carriers throughout the state, I represent over 10,900 active and retired. There's a change. There's a change of how the procedures are being put in place to disrupt the mail. I'll just put it that way. And is the mail being delayed? Yes. Is there a system that that came in that has put things in a question of what we're here for? Yes. For 245 years, the Postal Service has delivered to each and every person in this country. United States Postal Service, as Roscoe said before, we are a service. The customers rely on us, and we rely on them. We rely on them for them to come to the Postal Service and get our services, and we service them and thanking them for what they have done for us. And I think that when we look at, and I talked to some carriers this morning, that it's a travesty of what's happening now, where they have to come back later on in the afternoon to pick up partials to go and deliver them versus taking them when they leave. Mail is being kept in the office and not being allowed to be processed when they first come in. And this didn't happen when Postmaster Brennan was there, and she was here through the pandemic. It's just recently all this has changed. And we have to look at this as what it is. Why all of a sudden is there a change in the delivery of the mail, the process of the mail, the delay of the mail? Why all of a sudden now is there a change? They talked about the vote by mail, but we process mail, we deliver mail. That's what we do. And to take away what we provide for the community, for those who need it. As a veteran myself, I get medication through the mail. I rely on that. And not to have it when I need it, that's a travesty to a veteran and those around this country. And when we take upon ourselves from whomever wants to take responsibility to delay this mail, knowing that the people that we serve need it, then I think they need to look in the mirror. We have a problem. And this just happened. And it's interesting when you hear about the fraud of voting by mail, and then all of a sudden the mail gets curtailed and you have delay of mail. We're not in the warehousing business. We're in the delivery business. And to warehouse mail, to satisfy an individual agenda, hurts the United States itself, the community, the people. From young to old, people rely on us. And to take that away and to hurt us and reputation that we have of delivering going the last mile, to help those in need, to give them a letter of thank you or whatever it may be, it's a travesty. And only thing we have to do is look at the last 2 months. It speaks volume within itself. And we don't have to go any further. We know there's a problem. And I know throughout the state of Michigan, there's 12 places where this is happening today. And it's wrong. So yes, I thank both of you, Senator Peters and Congresswoman Lawrence. I thank you both for making this awareness, and it needs to be public. And then, and the last thing I want to say is, as the new speak on this, just remember this. This didn't happen this just happened 2 months ago. It didn't happen at the beginning of the year. It didn't happen in March when we were quarantined. This now, right now, when they're talking about how the mail is being, how they're questioning the vote by mail. That's their agenda. So I thank you both.
Well, thank you, Carl. Thank you for that. And you're right. This is why both Congresswoman Lawrence and I are investigating this. This has happened with a new Postmaster General that came in, and changes in policies that clearly have slowed down the mail. And I'm hearing that from folks all across the state of Michigan. But I think it's important for us to hear one of those stories. We have Michelle Brown from Marley, Michigan, who will share her story. And I'll just say that, you know, Michelle's story is similar to what I'm hearing across the state. And again, I want to encourage folks to let my office know their stories, because it's these stories that we need to bring to the Postal Service to make sure that these policy changes that are impacting the mail are changed, and we can get back to the service standards that we have come to expect and from the Postal Service. Michelle, thank you so much for being here today, and I'd love to hear your story.
Thank you. My husband's a veteran, and we go get our medications through VA. it usually takes 3 days to get our mail once I've ordered it. We have to do it online. This last medication I ordered was just in this last period when the new person came in. It took 12 days to get his medication, which left us 3 days short so that he wasn't able to take his medicine for 3 days until it arrived. This was not a medicine that was life and death, but there's many of us that do get those medications that cannot miss a day, and it's getting worse. I live in a rural area, so we expect the mail. We live by the mail. They're the ones who do, give us a lot of our things that we can't get unless we drive 50 miles to go to the store. If we needed to do our prescriptions, I would have to drive to Toledo to get a refill if it was a life and death one because of the way VA works. But VA is processing it. It's just that the mail is not getting it delivered to us. The post office has been, I think, getting better, and you could always count on a letter getting to Grand Rapids in a day, Kalamazoo in a day. The last letter I sent took 10 days to get to Kalamazoo, and one friend of mine said that it took 20 days to go from Grand Rapids to Lansing. 20 days for a letter? I mean, it's just getting where you have to plan so far ahead if you want to send something because you don't know how long it's going to take. And one other thing I want to make sure that people are aware of, in this rural area, during the pandemic, when they closed schools down, all of the school mailed their school lessons to the kids to do their work. If we have to do online learning again, what is going to happen if they have to mail the packages to the kids? Because our area does not have internet service. We don't have broadband. So it's going to affect schools here if they have to go through the mail again, as they did from April to June. That's it.
Well, thank you, Michelle. Thank you that story. And the fact that you were expecting, or what always happened in the past, it would be 3 days for you to get medicine for your husband. And now with this changes and what we've seen here recently with the new Postmaster General, now taking 12 days, that is unacceptable. And unfortunately, it's a story that I'm hearing on a regular basis and will continue to hear, which is why we have to investigate exactly what's happening. And I think to hear from our letter carriers and our postal workers as well that are equally frustrated that there are policies being put in place now that limits their ability to do the job that they are accustomed to doing and have been doing for many years. So thank you to all of our panelists. I appreciate it. Congresswoman Lawrence, again, appreciate your leadership on this as well.